I'm Aime Pascoe from Blue Communications, and I'm here this afternoon with Roger Strevens from Wallenius Wilhelmsen. Roger, we were chatting earlier about, you were hosting the panel, you were chairing a panel earlier, and we heard talk that we shouldn't refer to shipping as a conservative industry because actually that could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. What are your thoughts in terms of that and also innovation in shipping?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question. The idea that the industry is conservative doesn't make sense from our perspective. If you participate in a competitive market, you will take any advantage that you can get over your competitors, and that can be reducing the cost of your operation or increasing efficiency. And I think the key to unlock both of those is the same. It's innovation. For the industry, we have a challenge of a generation in front of us. How do we get towards a decarbonised future? Sure. And I think that it's very clear that what's got us to the point that we're at now is not going to get us to where we need to be. So we need new things in the toolbox. And I think that it's equally becoming clear that the rather fragmented and relatively low level of coordination and innovation is hindering us. We need to take it to a completely different scale to find those solutions that are going to get us the results that we need. And
I was just going to say, you mentioned sort of a hindrance. What are your thoughts in terms of regulatory certainty? Is that helping? Is that hindering? How does that factor in when it comes to encouraging innovation?
That can go either way. Where there is certainty, then it certainly helps making investment decisions. Unfortunately, recent history even has shown that isn't always the case, and the early movers have been effectively punished.
And you're referencing ballast?
I'm referring ballast water here, and this unfortunately plays into the hands of the never do anything if we can avoid it part of the industry, and that unfortunately undermines the overall level of progress there can be. But hopefully that was an isolated incident, and that we're not going to face that kind of challenge again.
Also on your panel earlier, there was talk around the need for the balance between the commercial and the environmental. How do you see that?
Well, I take an optimistic view on that. I don't think that those two need to be mutually exclusive. And there are already cases in point where there are solutions, and I'm thinking of in-water hull cleaning technologies, for example, which make pure economic sense because they save on your fuel consumption, and not in a small way, while at the same time delivering reductions in all emissions to air. And I would also say adding a safety dividend because people aren't in the water. So there are those kind of solutions that are out there, and I think it's both the challenge and the opportunity for the innovation community to take that kind of approach and apply it to the broader range of challenges that the industry has. And I think whoever finds those solutions, the world is their oyster.
I mean, just very briefly, do you have any examples, any illustrations of what you're talking there? Are there any technologies perhaps that you've been looking at?
Yeah, there's a system that we've been using for a number of years for in-water hull cleaning on our fleet, and it has certainly made a significant beneficial impact on our operating costs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to touch on, if I may, know that you've been very vocal about it in the past, and still there are a lot of unanswered questions, is the aspect of enforcement.
Yes.
And I just wonder whether...
Yeah. The issue is not resolved. There are still big question marks, and I think there are 2 points that I'd make in relation to this. And one is that the focus shouldn't just be on measurement, because the data by itself isn't going to solve the entire problem. It's what's done with data or evidence of non-compliance. And there are a lot of unanswered questions on that. And I also think that as we progress through the environmental issue agenda, that we're increasingly left with the stuff which is really difficult and complex and costly to deal with. And so we can do this as an industry. Sulphur 2020 is hopefully going to be the shining example of that. But it's only if everybody is on the same page in terms of compliance. So that's a critical part of the success with this agenda.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'd all love to hear more, but in the interest of you getting back to the conference, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.